are.
We're here.
Hello.
Once again, we made it back into the room. We've got a great show today. We got a great guest.
Yes.
We haven't talked to this guy in a dog's age, if you will, a dog's age.
It's been a minute.
Right?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. Jeff, what are we rapping about today? I think you know.
We're rapping about cues.
Cues. What kind of cues?
Well, not Q-tip cues.
Right, not cue ball.
Remember, they're not for your ears. The Q-tip.
Pool cues?
Right. No, not pool cues. No, it's cues for your brand, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things that show you, what's really going on. What are the cues you're giving your customers? Frankly, that's
right.
I think the most important part here is, and I've always used the analogy of a restaurant. Jeff and I went for a lunch one time in a restaurant locally, and it was the website was drop dead gorgeous. The photography, everything on it was stunning. And I was like, how do I not know about this place? Why do I not know about this place? And we were like, hell yeah, the menu looks great. Food looks great. Everything looks awesome. We showed up there. We couldn't find the front door, for Christ's sake. Couldn't figure out where to park, for God's sakes. We went in some ramshackle side door, right? And that's the first cue is like, what's going on here is very confusing.
Right.
Next thing we noticed when we walked in, the place was empty. I was like, are you open for lunch? Nobody greeted us. Nobody said hello. Nobody said a freaking word to us. And I don't know about you, Jeff, but I noticed right away as I walked across the barroom floor, my feet were sticking to the floor.
Yeah, the sticky floor thing.
And it reeked of like old beer, like a nightclub, the next morning. And then when we got our menus, they were covered in sticky goo and there were fruit flies buzzing around my eyes. And I thought, this is not the same experience that they delivered to me online. So these cues, they have none of the right cues. They've got all of the wrong cues. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yes. No, that's right. Like, we've also talked about those times where suggestions from people when you first go to a restaurant for the first time, visit the bathroom. And if the bathroom is a complete mess, a shit show, like just leave and go somewhere else.
Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know about how much they give a shit about everything else they're doing if the bathroom's gross. And I say the same thing about beverages, boxed drinks, canned drinks, bottled drinks. The first cue I get is from the label. And, if it's a compelling label, if it's engaging and interesting or curious or simple, clean, and clear as to what it is, that tells me what to expect inside said bottle, can, or box. Right?
Yep, absolutely.
So your brand doesn't really live in the logo. It lives in the cues. It's all the small things. As Tom DeLonge once said, it's the small things. And then he said a bunch of crazy shit about UFOs. We won't go there, but we'll go there another day with Rod Christensen and a few other of our wacky friends. It's the small things. It's the invisible things. We got a great guest today. And it's been a dog's age since we spoke to him. So I want to introduce you to him. He's the founder of a place called Monday Morning AF, as fuck, I think is what he's trying to say here. It's San Diego's first NA bottle shop, tasting lounge, and a distribution hub. Now, Zane himself here, he is working hard to help people drink a bit differently. And he helps venues grow margin with NA menus and actually sell. So I think they got over 400 cues or so. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together because we've got all the way from San Diego, which is, I don't know, wrong pronunciation. San Diego, we've got Mr. Zane Curtis.
Yes.
Hey, cheers.
Mr. Zane Curtis.
And it's not as fuck, Peter. It's alcohol free. And I'll get into real quick why. I wanted the website Monday Morning, and it was bought, and it's been inactive. And I said I want that email or that website, and the guy asked for $12,000. So I did AF at the end, and now I'm like, fuck it, it's as fuck. So anyway,
so smart. Okay, yes, I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I get it now. I get it. Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
And that concludes our segment for today with Zane.
There we are.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Zane, man, welcome back. Last time we talked to you was well over a while ago, and it was in the summer, I think, and you were just getting ready to get the shop open, right?
I think summer last year I had the idea for it. So
Yeah.
it's been, I mean, we talked, I had four months and 1 week from I did a grand opening. So I gave you guys a small window of time from when we talked to when I just put my head down to get it done. So here we are, but appreciate being back on. So thank you.
Totally, man. So
Amazing.
tell us about alcohol free. Tell us about Monday morning alcohol free. Tell us a lot about the store for people that don't know.
Yeah. So about the store, kind of on that Q part, what we were talking about, we wanted it to be atypical for what everything is for a bottle shop. So we had it curated where everything is off the ground, everything is eye level. There's nothing that you can't see around, right? Because we all know bars, right? Bars are dark, dingy, whatever. We all have that point. But liquor stores, there's shit on the ground. There's boxes everywhere. It's stacked floor to ceiling. You get startled when you walk around the corner and see somebody. And so we wanted the vibe to just be open and things are off the ground and it's bright and there's music and it's festive. And so it was that atypical bottle shop is what we were going for. In part of that is just also the title of everybody that works here is Vibe Sommelier, because the most important thing for us is our website kicks ass. I mean, that's just what it is. I paid a good amount of money for our website to be dialed in, but exactly what you said, I didn't want the sticky floors and the broken down menu. So when people walk in, there's no seats for people to sit in. We walk around, we carry baskets for people, we greet people, we have them taste things. And so it's just really that high level customer service. And you can see it in the Google reviews. We have our Instagram shares, everything. Like it's just truly trying to lead with what that is. Cause you see people like, I saw you online and had to come see if this is really what it was. And it's like, no, it's really what you think it is. So trying to carry those cues through.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, and we talked about, the stickiness and all that crazy shit. How about the products for I feel like obviously things have come a long way since we started hearing and seeing about this trend starting to get some traction. It's like there's a real premium to command attention on the shelf, even in that market. I think that I know in the local craft beer shop I don't know, attend. Everything's everything. It's all over the place. And then there's this one tiny little stupid section that's ignored. And that's the non-alc stuff. But
it's always by the tampons too. I don't know why that is, but non-alc is always by that. And I'm like, what are we doing here? So
it's always way off to the side in these places. And, or even in the supermarket, it's relegated to, a weird section that's away from everything else, almost as if it's it might get contagious, God forbid. How do you evaluate what kind of brands go into your store?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll answer it with a basketball analogy. I think a lot of people are trying to play basketball because it's getting too busy. Everybody's showing up with basketball being like, I can play, and they dribble with both hands. They're doing this thing, and you're like, you don't even know what you're doing. Then you get the people that put their heart and soul in it, and they're the college level players, and they do their best and they make quality product. And some of them go pro. And once they go pro, they flop around, they cry foul, they get paid a lot of money, but their product sucks. So we look for those college players, if you will. Like we look for those people, like we taste everything, right? And I refuse to have anything on my shelf that doesn't have a quality second palate, is kind of what we call it. So I taste stuff and I'm like, you don't even stand a chance. Sorry, like you're double dribbling. I don't care. So that college player is the brand. They're the brands that really put their heart and soul into what they do. It's the Cava Havens. It's Drome. It's Unruly. It's Below Brew. It's all of those different brands that really are trying to say, we just love what we're doing. We're not pro. We're not over commercialized. We're not in every grocery store and every place you go that it's just saturated with the same garbage. We just care about what we do and we're making quality product. So that's really the niche I try to look for. Is I don't carry the popular stuff. I don't think Tom Holland needs my bottle shop to sell his beer. I don't think Katy Perry needs my help to sell her garbage either. Like I just don't think they need my help.
Yeah.
But the people in those spaces that make a quality product that truly deserves shelf space are the people I look for.
Okay. I heard though that like Tom Holland and Katy Perry actually deliver the SKUs, the pallets themselves in person. They like drag them into the store. I
They
mean,
use a pallet
I'm
jack.
sure they do. I'm
if
sure they
that's
do.
not of interest to you, yeah.
I mean, I just don't get celebrity involvement in this, right? Like every
get it.
celebrity has an alcohol brand, and their alcohol brands suck too. So
Right.
what if it like? What are we doing? So, anyways, same with
No,
movies.
I know.
I'm not trying to make movies, so don't try to make non-alcoholic. Just like
Right.
figure it out. So, anyways,
Well, that's the way I feel like about something like Ciroc or whatever it is. I'm like, you know, come on, guys. There's enough of this out there. You don't need to be involved.
Right.
Exactly.
No, brilliant. And you know, we're going to be bringing on our other guests soon. Do you have any thoughts on, you know, you sell a lot of different products, so emerging brands, I would imagine in many cases, or some that have gone beyond the emerging brand part. Do you see a disconnect ever see a disconnect on some of the products that come in? And I'm not asking you to like, you know, call anybody out or name names, but like, is there ever a disconnect between what you find to be on the packaging and the actual product inside? Because I know you guys taste everything, and you ever find, and when you do find like, hey, you know, the packaging looked amazing, but the taste was, you know, do you ever find that? How does it go for you both ways?
100% of the time, if the packaging sucks, the quality inside sucks. Like 100% of the time. If you can't even put lipstick on a pig, your product's going to be garbage, right? We all know that. The ones that trip me up are where your packaging actually looks good, and you're like, all right, like here we go. And Jeff and I were talking before we got on this call, but I won't name names because I don't talk poorly about anybody. Anybody trying to help in the non-alc space is doing the right work. Appreciate that. Follow through is where we fail most of the time. But there are some brands that have that great label and you're like, ooh, this looks good. It happened to me all the time trying to get sober. I'd buy that 6-pack of something that looked good on the shelf, and there are only 3, so it's not like my options were great. I'd put it in the fridge and I'd wait 4 hours for it to be cold. I'm like, all right, here we go. And I crack it. I'm like, son of a bitch, I have 5.5 of these left and I'm not going to drink them anymore. So there is a disconnect. I think it takes one to know one, right? And not that everybody has to be sober, but like you have to spend your time knowing these flavors. Like I think Dave has done a killer job holding up drinks that's like they taste great, they're consistent, they're like I'm yet to get a bad bottle of his. Right? Where it's just like you have to know people that are masters in this sommelier lane that actually care more than, you know, I mean, there's brands that will keep like their alcohol under the booth as they're at these these events, and you're like, you actually care what you're doing? Like it's just a different thing. So I think branding is part of it. I feel like some people spend too much time on branding and not enough time on the flavor inside, and that's a disappointment. I think it's fewer and far between, to be honest. I think a lot of the NA brands are just too much carbonation and bad flavor, or they try to be too high of functionality that it tastes like licking paint. And you're like, what are we doing here? So I think people try to focus too much on one or the other versus finding a harmony of flavors and then marketing just across the board. So 100% of the time, if it looks bad, it's going to taste bad 100% of the time.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. And I do think it's the same for us. We talk about strategy and creative. You can have great creative and a shitty strategy and you're in trouble. Vice versa. Great strategy, sound very, very well intended and thought out, with you slap some creative together on your own, DIYing it or having your Aunt Helen do it. And again, that great strategy is going to fall flat, right?
I mean, you know, a lot of it too is about setting expectations. I mean, that's what it's all about, I think, in consumer land, right? So you set an expectation with like a beautiful label, you're expecting a beautiful experience when you're drinking it.
That's right.
You also expect that when you look at the label, you know, that it's telling you a little bit more than just like a logo. It's telling you kind of about, you know, maybe it tells you the story of how it came to be. Maybe it simply is informing you of, you know, some of the benefits that are in it. But whatever you're doing, these are all touch points, all those cues that we've been talking about. They're all touch points of your brand and they all have to work together. But the most important thing with what you said, Zane, is that they have to be consistent with each other, right? So the taste has to match
Mm.
whatever it is that you're doing on the branding side.
Yep. And I'll tell you, Jeff, that's one thing that I gravely undershot my marketing budget for opening a business. In my pro forma and for the bank, I was like, I need like $4,000 for my marketing. That's all that I need. My logo alone cost me more than $4,000.
Yeah.
But it was part of it was I didn't want to look like a Mickey Mouse company. And that's exactly what you're saying. And so I invested in marketing. And I think marketing is kind of like philosophy. They always say it's right and it works. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But it was so important that I love, and I'm like extremely honored when people come in and they say, your shop looks just like your website. Because we're down to like the palette, the color, the fonts. Like I've carried that marketing through because the brand that helped me get my marketing done was like, this is your board. Like this is what your brand is. And we haven't faltered from it. And so it's exactly what you're saying. It's like when it carries all the way through, you're like, your website looks like your shop. I'm like, hell yeah. Like that's what we're going for.
That's a win. That's a huge win.
That's the best news, honestly, and I love that because it's, again, I say it all. I talk about that golden thread of consistency, and everyone goes, and you know, not everybody they end up kind of, well, it's close enough, or it's, you know, it'll do for now. You did it right, and I mean, your website should feel and look and act as if I were in your store. And your team, you know, as a founder, how do you inspire, you know, how do you sort of intentionally try to provide cues or leadership thoughts, just to the team, the people that are working in the store, like to make sure that they're all following, you know, the same story and the same behavior and providing the same service and experience. Is there anything you do specifically?
The thing, and I tote this to the team every time, is take away the vibe sommelier, right? Because I never ask for somebody's resume because a resume just comes with a salary expectation that as a startup I can't pay anyway. So I don't care what you've done, I'll care what you do. So I just look for that gut feeling right off the bat. But the thing I tell everybody and that we shoot for is I want this to be the easiest place for people to work. So I give them a shit ton of kava to drink so they're not mad, they're not assholes. And then outside of that is I want it to never be hard because we're all doing the same thing. So cleaning the bathroom's never hard because it's always clean. Sweeping the floor isn't hard because it's always swept. The shelves are always stocked. So it's like as soon as somebody buys something, go in the back, put it back on the shelf, move on. So it's like when it's close time, you're out in 5 minutes because the floor's been swept throughout the day. Everybody's doing the same thing. And so it's very much that's the mentality we try to carry. If a customer walks in the store, everybody still works other jobs. Like we're just in the world now where people work and hustle and do 5 different things. But as soon as somebody walks in, put your phone down, greet them, walk around with them, carry their basket, do the thing with them. I had one of my favorite Google reviews was, I totally expected to walk in and have some young kid behind the counter on their cell phone saying, let me know if you have questions. Person walked out from around the counter, grabbed my basket for me, walked through the store, made recommendations, had me taste stuff. Like, you got to stop by for the experience. So that's what we're trying to go for.
Perfect. Keep doing that every single time, man. That's a win. Hey, as long as I'm getting a thumbs up from our man on the outside, our man up north, as long as we're getting a thumbs up, we're going to be bringing him in here in a second. So, you know, Zane Curtis, get your seatbelt on, put your seat in the upright position, tray table up, and put that cigarette out for God's sakes, because we're about to bring in a good friend of ours who's going to talk about what's going on in his world. And he's probably got some questions that are going to, you know, get right up on you too. So without further ado.
Robert Kogan.
Robert Kogan.
Kogan has succeeded.
Kogan has just returned.
Welcome to Making Things Happen with Robert Kogan.
I love it.
My intro sucked.
Yeah, we're working on the whole custom intro for every single person.
Yes.
I love it. Oh, awesome. Robert, hi. Meet Zane. Zane, meet Robert.
How you doing, Zane? Everything's up, buddy. Everything's up. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Okay, anyway, Zane, the problem that we always have is I've got like about 4 hours of material and I squeeze it into 5 minutes.
Great. My attention span's 3, so let's go.
All right. First of all, homage to you and the non-alc. The non-alc is basically exploding. And whether you figured it out or not, you're going to probably have the opportunity to open up new locations as the years go on. because that
I maybe am opening a second location within my first year, so maybe
Yeah.
it's doing something good. But keep going.
Yeah, I've got a couple customers here in Canada that are doing non-alc, and they would surprise me with full pallet orders of the Ollie Poppy crap and a bunch of other the bullshit that's going on all over the place.
Yep.
And when I do take a look at their sites, I also want everyone to appreciate something that you're going through, which is dealing with about 2,000 different SKUs. It's sort of like craft soda. Every county in the USA has their own craft soda company with the same story from the Prohibition, and they started making black cherry and yada, yada, yada. And it always keeps going on and on.
Yep.
And there are just hundreds of great brands out there that you get inundated with. So I just want to pay a homage without even asking. I know your brand selection, your filtration process to make sure you get the best brands. Hard to say no to them because there's a lot of great non-alc brands. And that's really, you know, the crux of what I have to say about the non-alc thing. From what I've seen here in Toronto, and I keep on repeating to remind everybody, third largest market in North America. So the things that go on here are pretty indicative of the trends, sometimes on pace and sometimes a little behind. This one in particular, though, Zane, is we may be a little bit ahead of what I've seen in the US.
Yep.
And there's a lot of non-alc. And one story I'll share with you about the non-alc is when you look at your pie chart of different market. La Croix was the first brand that completely abused and screwed over my company in Canada. But I did learn a lot about why La Croix is a thing, and you'll appreciate this. I usually do this type of reenactment of a conversation to try to express a point. Robert, why do people like La Croix? I study the grocery carts that I see in grocery stores. And it's the medical reports that us 50-plussers get from the doctors. No more Diet Coke with your regular vodka or gin or Jack Daniels. Those guys are now mixing with sparkling water. Then they go to the next doctor's appointment where they get another report, and then they end up at your store.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big factors, I think, in the non-alc business. But we did a great job this time, Zane, because the few times that I've come on, I've just like ripped out like some stuff going on, and then I say hi and bye to the guest. So Peter, Jeff, and I wanted to focus on trying to sort of like, you know, at least weave in the Robert Cogan appearance.
There we go.
A little bit. I just sent a little less than a minute video to you, Peter. And that little video I sent to you is actually synonymous with like me getting my graduation after 12 years. And the fact that the Melting Forest, this brand, is being shrink wrapped last night, shrink sleeved with Canadian compliant labels and going into the CHFA show this weekend is a huge victory. There are so many things to talk about. We are actually also very, very proud to be exhibiting the IQ Bar brand at the Toronto CHFA show. We're not going, we're English only right now, so we're only going to the independent stores and the independent channels and testing it out like we do with all the great US brands. And in a nutshell, the CHFA show this weekend is a huge accomplishment. Sean and David from Melting Forest are landing at Toronto Airport in about 2 hours. We're going to have a little dinner tonight to celebrate it. Tomorrow we're setting up the double pad booth. And Eco Ideas is a distributor here. They're also a co-packer. The video that I sent you was from their facility where they're shrink sleeving the cans. And we have a triple booth attack at the show tomorrow, this weekend. We also have an independent distributor. And I'll segue back into the topic of the show, which is the non-alc world that Zane is conquering. And highly recommend that you get Melting Forest on your menu because it's a great non-alc option. And I guess the last thing I'll say is I had trouble, as you guys might have noticed on the screen here, off, on, because the warehouse, the Wi-Fi is all messed up in there.
Oh no!
But when people ask me about your particular area of expertise in, I say things like, there's rows of of pallets, and then there's rows of 5 pallet stacks going down. I call those mountain ranges. And the amount of non-alc from a company, international monster called Asahi, which everyone is familiar with, is monstrous. The amount, I'm sitting in an office with a warehouse back there, which is such a validation for your business model, Zane, and that market segment that does need what you are giving.
Yep.
So congratulations and muzzle tov on all of that.
Well, Robert, if you and I want to talk offline, you have some product in Canada that I can't seem to get down here anymore because. So you and I can talk a little bit because
you haven't met me yet.
Because exactly what you're saying, Robert, is I think a large part of the rest of the world knows non-alcoholic because the rest of the world cares about flavor. We in the United States care about high octane, give it to me hard and fast, in and out. Like, we're just like, that's our culture different. So a lot of what I import, probably 60% of my brands come from overseas. And that sometimes is a little more difficult. So maybe you and I should talk offline.
Absolutely. And I'll make sure we'll be connected through email. And by the way, I just want to shout out for Canada as Richard Moniz is dropping his hello.
Yes.
You, as I, in a nice, cute, sarcastic way, you haven't got your Canada product yet because you haven't met me. That's all. Exactly. Now you did. So you're going to get all the Canada product you want. And the Canada vibe, Richard from Canada. We got Steve from Canada who was on last week. It's it's welcome to Canada, everybody. And
welcome to Canada month.
Correct.
Yeah. And we don't stop moving up here and down there. And I can't wait, Zane, for you to tell me whatever brand you need. We put it in my car and take it to my house in Michigan and put it in a UPS store. That's if you need one case. Okay. We do big or small, we do it all.
Let's do it all because I got stuff. I just had one. Sorry, Peter. I'm just going to say this. I had one, got to customs, got returned because there was some slip that wasn't done. And I was like, I just need my sour beer from Beltwoods, man. Like, good God, figure it out.
Figure it out.
Make it happen. Make it happen.
Yeah, I just did and the customs, you got to assume every mistake's going to happen. I just sent some ginger beer down to New Jersey. Or no, Brooklyn. And all they're asking me about is beer. Well, is this beer? And no, ginger beer. So we always have that problem with customs forms. Non-alcohol has to be in uppercase bold on every B3, every custom form, every declaration, everything. But that we only have to deal with pallets and trucks. When it comes to cases, we just get them.
He's the guy.
Fair enough. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, love it. Thanks, Robert.
Yes, thanks,
Hope you
Robert.
have a great rest of your day, sir.
Thank you, guys. Nice
All
to
right,
meet you,
brother.
Zane.
Yes.
I'll talk to you guys
as well.
soon.
Take it easy.
Cheers, man. Here we go. Robert, Zane, the show is starting to turn a little bit into like a LinkedIn Live meets Tinder. We're just putting people together,
I'm glad you didn't swipe left on him, man. That's good. So
we like connecting with connecting people together. That's part of what we do,
For sure.
For anybody else that's actually checking things out today and sitting on the sidelines, feel free to drop some questions in here for Zane. And, Zane, what's the most exciting thing to you right now in the NA space? I have several friends that, they don't even realize that this has happened. I was just with some friends today, and one of the guys is like, yeah, I can't drink anymore. And I'm like, you never could. That's the problem. And I was like, well, what are you drinking? And he's like, O'Doul's or Coke. And I was like, how do you not fucking know?
Yeah. That's my favorite is all these people that are like, drinks for non-alcoholics like Coke, Pepsi, LaCroix. And I'm like, what the hell? There's a whole different lane of stuff. So I was joking with somebody actually this morning that we work with from a distribution standpoint, because I think the exciting thing, Peter, to answer your question, is where flavor and function meet. right? So you can get a functional old fashioned that tastes like an old fashioned but is functional. So flavor and function is what we spend a lot of time on.
Okay.
But in that, we're coaching a lot of restaurants that we work with to change their narrative. I was like, mocktails are called mocktails because they're a mockery of a cocktail. That's all that a mocktail is. It's a mockery. It's not even a fake. So call them wellness, call them functional, call them something different to make it exciting and fun again, not just a mockery. Like, I mean, I'll name it. Ritual sucks. Like, Ritual's not the brand for anybody. So it's like a mocktail of an old fashioned using Ritual. It's a mockery. Like, it's not even, it doesn't smell like it. It doesn't taste like it. It looks like and smells like and tastes like caramel water.
Yep.
So you add that to an old fashioned and you're like, this is a mockery of an old fashioned. It's a mocktail. And that's kind of that lane.
This stuff didn't exist when my wife's grandfather, his name was Bear, Mitchell Copeland Draper, a very big man, Draper Bear, and he loves his bourbon, or loved his bourbon. I'm sure wherever he is, he's still loving it. And I remember when he had some, as he got on in years, up pushing up towards 88, 90, the doctors were like, he can't be drinking like this. Now, Bear's routine was I have one glass of bourbon a day at dinner time, just before dinner, and it was. He'd say, Peter, pour me 3 fingers of bourbon. I'd be like, three of my fingers or 3 of your fingers?
No, the trick is 3 from the top of the glass, not the bottom. People always did that wrong. So
his rub was he would fill the glass to the top.
Yep.
And then he'd have a little pitcher of water on the side. So you'd have that one drink, which would go on for hours and hours and hours. And I remember when we finally had to get him like, no drinks. My wife and I were up there for the summer and we were trying to figure out how to use like Lipton tea bags to make something that looked like bourbon and hope that he might not actually notice it. So, I mean, the opportunity didn't exist. I think the closest we ever got was brewing up a bit of a tea and then rubbing some bourbon around the edge of the glass so that he would think it might be that. We never.
My 101-year-old neighbor actually bought a bourbon from me to support my brand. Came in like 2 months later, and she's like, "I don't like it. Do you know how I drink it? I add real bourbon to it." And I'm like, "That's fair." Like,
why not?
Yeah, but I think ultimately that's where it comes to. But again, everybody was a pioneer. You know what I mean? Like, Athletic pioneered craft beer. They went pro, right? Ritual, Seed Lift, they pioneered. They went pro. So like, there's just that journey where it's like, you got to me firmly, I'm like, stay in that college lane. Cause once you go pro, it's about making money. You lose your way. And that's the whole point. And so I appreciate, that's why I said, I don't talk poorly about them except Ritual, but I don't talk poorly about them because I'm like, it's just, everybody's trying, but when you go pro, you lose your way. And it's just, I see it too often. So
as I call them, bitual. No, I don't.
No, you don't call them that. Justin Cram was just asking, do you sell any water in the store?
I mean, some. I don't know. I have a water, but I use it more as when people spend an hour. Like, we'll spend an hour doing tastings with people. I have a kava slushy machine right here that people are addicted to. So like, when their mouth is fuzzy and they want to taste something, I'm like, here's a water, drink that for a while. But what's the question about selling water?
I don't know, unless there's some way that you should be mixing it with one of the drinks, or
delicious.
Maybe that's what it's about. I don't know.
No, I don't know. I mean, I look at that and I go, for the most part, unless I'm really in need of a water, like bring your own water, get your own water.
Correct.
That's not the place for water. Do you guys sell light bulbs, by the way, Zane?
You sell batteries?
No.
Okay.
It's not non-elk and batteries.
Is there a place that I can get?
I don't even say non-alc outside. I'm Monday morning bottle shop is my thing. People come in. We call them the accidental converts, because if I lead with, like, for my brand, right? I'm not anything. I'm not recovery. I'm not AA. I'm not church. I'm not anything, because we're everything. Yes. And so, and part of that is the brand is we're just Monday morning bottle shop. Everybody has a day, a week, a month, a lifetime they don't want alcohol. And we're just here for those moments. So if I led with non-alcoholic, people would be like, I'm not non-alcoholic. I'm sober curious, so I don't want to go. So that's some of that messaging where, like, we get people all the time. They walk in, they're like, do you guys have wine? I'm like, yeah, we got a bunch of non-alcoholic wine back there. And they're like, ew, that's the worst. But best case for me, I'm like, that person leaves with an experience of like, I walked into this dumb non-alcoholic bottle shop down the street and somebody's like, oh, there's a non-alcoholic bottle shop down the street. So I'm
Yes.
like, if I led with non-alcoholic, that person wouldn't come in. They wouldn't talk about it. They wouldn't have had an embarrassing moment. And so I got you. When they walk
That's
out,
awesome.
I'm like,
That's like the time I came home with a bunch of bottles of Prosecco for New Year's Eve or something. And, you know, at this point, everything's closed, and failed to notice that it was like an alcohol-free Prosecco. It wasn't clear on the label. And I was like, what the fuck? I mean, there was like a big 0 on the label, which didn't like actually inform me of anything at all. I just thought it was a shape. But my wife was like, what is this? And I was like, it's Prosecco. She's like, it's not. It's like, oh, sorry, everyone. You know, what are you going to do?
Well, it's bubbly.
Yeah, it's bubbly. I like the idea of zebra striping. Have you heard that term?
of course I have. Yeah.
I just made it up 5 minutes ago. Travel. I made it up.
Right.
But I'm thinking of it because we had a conversation with Tawny Lara way back in the day.
Yes.
And she and her husband founded something called Parenthesis. I believe it was called. Yeah, you know.
Yep.
And we had a fascinating conversation because she's like, I was a bourbon girl, and I was like, so am I. You know, and she was telling us that how they created, like, the way they were recreating a non-alcoholic bourbon through fermentation processes was really unique to me. And I guess the reasoning behind it was like that it would carry over some of that bite and some of that smoke.
That's the vinegars that people are starting to hold on to. There's another player that I just heard about called Plaid Circus that's doing that same thing. That's like, there's 5 parts of a drink: burn, smell, like, and so they go through it, and then it's like you introduce a vinegar to it, which is what, you know, some of those where it's like, that's a smart idea. I think some of it is, I think the vinegar-based drinks are similar to the tea-based wines, where it feels, and I'll even put like THC-based beverages in that same thing. It's like, we're skipping the non-alc, we're skipping the I want it to taste like and represent something into a new lane, and there's a lane for it for sure. But in those vinegars, in those tea wines, I'm like, how do we message that different from it's a functional, it's a flavor? This is, oh, you like cab? You'd really like this red tea wine over here then instead. And it's like, wait, wow. And so it's just some of its messaging. Yeah. I think I had a vinegar-based drink that I took a sip of, and I was like, oh my goodness. And somebody's like, oh, add asparagus juice to it. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, who does that?
Who has asparagus juice?
Wait a second, let me check my drawer.
Again, some of that, though, goes back into that education is for us here, we have to know how we can educate the end user on what it is they're getting into. So I'm looking into that vinegar-based thing because, again, I know Tawny and then Plaid Circus now, and I'm like, how do we play with this? Because there is truth about what it does versus how do you educate people to be like, oh, you like sipping whiskey? Here, drink this. And it's like, it gives me heartburn because it's vinegar. It's like, fair, but it still does something. So
yeah. What would suggestion? I'm a red wine guy all day. So not all day. I mean, that'd be crazy.
That's what's in your water cup. Got it.
That's crazy.
Well, and I think the big part to answer your wine question, because I think red wine is the hardest thing to mirror.
Yeah.
I think, and so I'll explain to everybody here, when you have red wine, we don't carry Frey, we don't carry that stuff that tastes like juice. But red wine, ethanol in red wine adds body and character and depth and does something to wine that I'm like, it's just not the same. So the question with non-alcoholic red wine, I tell everybody just to like recommend is, don't ask yourself, does this taste like its alcoholic cousin? Do I like the flavor of this in a wine glass? Because I'll give you a real life scenario. What happened last Thanksgiving? I was going to have my first sober Thanksgiving with all of my friends. I was already a year and a half sober, but I was like, fuck you all. You're going to be sober with me because I'm not going to sit around and watch you get drunk. So I had just opened my business 2 weeks before, I think November 23rd. So like a week before I opened my business. And we have Thanksgiving, and I was like 6 bottles of non-alcoholic red wine. And I'm like, guys, does this taste like wine? Every single person. Nope. And I was like, my business is going to fail one weekend. Like, this is not going to work. But what happened as dinner went on, in true with wine, nobody's glass ever gets empty. Nobody is getting up to do anything. People are just pouring from it, talking, whatever. And at the end of it, all 6 bottles were gone. and somebody says that was a really pleasant meal. Because when you're judging a non-alcoholic, it's going to taste different because you're already thinking like, does this beer taste like beer? It's like, no,
Yes.
ethanol burns. Like it has something that it does differently versus do you like the flavor of it? And that's the journey we try to get a lot of people into, especially with red wine, is it's not going to taste like an exact red wine replica, but it's not going to taste like grape juice. It won't ruin your steak like Frey did, where I have PTSD taking a sip of Frey, cutting my steak. And I was like, I don't want to drink that. Like, so we look for good. So in that lane, I would say Sovi, NA, red wine. Sovi, all the respect to them. I think they do a great job with their NA red. Yeah, so there's a few like that. Loudus, they do a good job there. Savvy Red kind of feels like a Pinot a little bit. So it's kind of learning that lane to it.
Yeah.
So, but it's the same thing with spirits. I mean, like there's some really good NA bourbons out there, but they taste like the third breath after you breathe through the alcohol up front. So it just leads with that. So people are like, no, it doesn't taste like bourbon. It's like, yeah, it's not burning your nostrils. Like, of course, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
You still get that third flavor. So
that's what's so. I think that's what's so important is that experience, that rocks glass with a nice cube in it, and having that drink, because it's when you think about it, like my kids, they're young. They're not drinking is not on their mind. But my 13-year-old recently was like, oh, maybe someday I'll party. And I was like, really? Like party how? What? And she's like, well, when I go to college, I'll probably have some drinks. And I was like, why? And she's like, I don't know. I said, what's really interesting to me, because everybody thinks of it this way. I said, you would drink something because you like the taste of it, not because it's alcoholic. If you like the taste of something, then maybe you would drink that, but it doesn't have to be alcohol. And I said, that's the thing. If you like the taste of beer, there's so many options now that you could enjoy a beer because you like the taste of beer without the side effects and the health issues associated with the alcohol.
Yep. Well, and if you think about it too, and this is an analogy we use for everybody, is ethanol tastes bad, right? So we put a lot of flavor on top of it to make it not taste bad. And normally when you take away the alcohol, people are used to the flavor falling down. So the trick is finding the flavors that you say, this is a good flavor without alcohol. Now you just have to question when you want the alcohol, right? And so that's some of it. But I mean, like I said, I've been over 2 years sober now. The smell of alcohol, I'll put my wife's wine to my lips and just lick my lips. And I'm like licking hummus after that. Cause it's like the taste of ethanol to me now, where I'm like, how did I used to put down 16 drinks in a day? Like what was that learned behavior? And so that's just that interesting side. Cause like the customer base that I didn't anticipate is the under 21-year-old kids coming in with their parents that are 16 years old going to a party that don't want the peer pressure and bullying of not having a drink. And they grab 4 NA beers and they're like, I'm going to take that instead. I'm like, underage not drinking is a thing. Like, but it's like, there's that rhythm where it's like kids are still pressured to do it.
Right.
But what if you don't want to do it? It's like, now you can get a delicious, good drink without alcohol to learn right off the bat. There's an alternative when you don't want alcohol. Not against alcohol, and just against that alcohol is the only way to have a good drink. That's the ultimate point.
That's interesting. And I think, though, I was also going back to the wine. I'm like, does anybody, aside from, I think you mentioned Sovi and a couple of others, but like,
NA Red.
Yeah, NA Red. I think about like pairing food and, like certain, like for me personally, like I'm not a white wine fan at all. So like I'll still have a glass of red wine with seafood. Doesn't matter to me. I'm happy. But like, the idea of pairing a certain wine or heaviness of a wine or the spice or the peppery bite you get from certain wines with a steak. Is that achievable? Is anybody doing it well?
So flavor and function, like I said, is kind of the specialty we hone in on. So you can take a non-alcoholic red wine, say Sovi, Tomorrow Cellars, pick a red wine, whatever you want. And if you add Sentia to it, so now you're adding functionality to it, it adds more body, it adds more depth to it. So it almost changes it a little bit more in that sense, if you will. So there's a way to do that. For myself at this time, I had to say, goodbye to a bold Zinfandel cab that kicks you in the balls. Like I can't find that depth of a red wine. People say they're working on it. I've found some really good non-offensive NA red wines, but that bold complexity, Camus, Prisoner wines, like those types of like juice heavy, like I just don't know when those are coming. I'm hopeful. I tell every single one of these winemakers, please focus on that because I miss my wine that you're like, damn, that's good.
That's important, right?
Yeah, so they have good flavors. They're just that boldness is just not there yet.
Yeah,
so,
I was just gonna say, like, just going back to like our previous discussion, like you explaining in terms of what the expectations are gonna be. That's really like the key to this. And we talked about this in terms of setting expectations in terms of the cues of someone walking in your store or looking at your website. But there's also, an experience part of it in terms of the product itself and setting those expectations, right? You get a whole different mindset when you're trying it for the first time than if you just simply went to a store with no one helping you.
Yep.
Like the Walmart experience, whatever.
Yeah.
And you just pick it off the shelf and then you get home and you're disappointed. But you wouldn't have been disappointed if the expectations were clearly stated.
Yep. And that's part of what my messaging is for customers. Even when they come in, I'll say it to anybody. If you're going to spend money on non-alcoholic, I want you to spend it here. But I want you to leave here feeling that you have a partner in this because we let you taste something before you buy it. People taste literally almost everything before they get here or when they get here. And now it's like, you're going to spend $200, $300. You're going to leave the store, but you're going to be confident when you get home that you're like, I know how to make a non-alcoholic Paloma. I know that I'm going to like the thing that I got. And so that's part of it is like, because my PTSD, newly sober, jonesing for a whiskey, like literally like white knuckling it, like I need a whiskey now, going to Bevmo, standing there with Liars and Ritual in my hand. I'm like, which one tastes more like whiskey? Right. And they're like, and the guy helping me is like, I don't drink non-alcoholic. And I was like, not helpful. So I spent $100+ on the 2 bottles.
Right.
I get home and I'm like, all right, cool. Like I'm going to like scratch this itch that I have. Fail. And I'm literally standing there, like dumping them both down the sink. And I was like, how do I find an NA whiskey again? So enter in some of that, like partner with people. Let's taste, let's teach, let's do this thing. I mean, one of my favorite Google reviews, like I hated non-alcoholic beer because I'd only ever had blank. I went to Monday morning. He had me try Go the Story double IPA and holy shit, reinvigorated my love of craft non-alcoholic beer. And it's like, there you go. So that's, again, some of it of like, just taste these things and see what they are before you commit.
White glove service, right? Because it's like, again, it's not just like you're on your own, like you're helping them through their purchase process.
Correct.
And but again, that's part of, like what we talk about all the time, customer journey, right? So
but that's part of it too. If you think about it, it's like if you have a bad experience, you blame that place. You don't blame what you had, right? I didn't manufacture any of this stuff, but if you spend $100 in my store, go home and can't stand the product, you're like, man, that place sucks. And it's like, I didn't make it. Like, that's not on me. But I rather you leave and say, that was fun. That was an experience. And I made an investment in my decision to drink non-alcoholic for this period, whatever that is. And now I know what I'm doing. And then we get people come back in, they're like, all right, you showed me about gins, but like, what do you have about vodka? And it's like, well, let's taste. And now it's the journey again, where it's like, now when I have a new feeling of what I want, I come back. Because again, otherwise they blame the brand. And then I'm like, my business failed because people didn't like what I sold. It's like,
right.
It's because they didn't know.
That's the relationship, right? That's different. I mean, I equate it more to like, I used to frequent music stores with musical instruments, and there was always the same like 3 guys that I would go to because they knew my tastes and they knew how to explain things to me and had that rapport where I would go in there, and invest some money on musical equipment, but I knew and I felt good about the purchase because they knew who I was. They knew who Jeff was.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that I love that you've gone next level with that part of it, thinking about if I sell crappy stuff, stuff that's just not up to par, I'm going to take the heat for it. It's going to end up affecting me because people won't come back.
Yep.
And I would challenge anybody out there in a business with a brick and mortar or anything else to consider that before, going any further. That part of the experience matters more than anything at all. Yeah. So we're going to be getting ready to wrap up, and I want to make sure we have an opportunity to Jeff. I don't know if we have a prize for giveaway this week.
No, I don't think we do.
Okay.
We haven't talked
maybe
about
the prize this week will be that Robert Kogan will come to your house extremely early on like a Tuesday morning and cook you a sumptuous breakfast, make an absolute catastrophe out of your kitchen, and then leave.
Nice.
If anyone's
Rod,
interested in
tell Rod, thanks for the gloss on my website. Thanks, Rod.
Awesome. Yeah, man. Yes. Rod, well played, sir. Yes. That is awesome. So where can people find out more about you and any other news you want to share with the listeners right now? How can they? I highly suspect that, if you don't know Zane Curtis, it's easy enough to find him right here on LinkedIn.
That's me.
He's awesome. And what else do you want to leave our audience with today?
Just have fun. Be bold. Be confident. I firmly believe for anybody, it's like you just have to lean into whatever you want to be, and whatever that is, just be authentic. Just be a good human at the end of the day, because that's what we're all missing right now. So you can learn more about Monday Morning at mondaymorning-af.com, alcohol free, or as fuck, as Peter started it with. So Monday Morning-af. We're also on Instagram.af. Just happy to talk to anybody. I have a lot to still learn. I'm by no means a pioneer in what I'm doing, but I should say I'm a pioneer. I'm not the expert. I've never founded a city. I've never founded a company. I have a buddy that's helping me with finances, or I should say I've hired a CFO that looked at my finances. He's like, how are you doing this? You have no money. I was like, I don't know. It just works. Like, we're just going for it. So
we just keep going. I get up every day and
we're in Pacific Beach in San Diego. We're opening a second location soon in Ocean Beach. So I think there's testament to the model, and the cues are working if 9 months in we're opening a second location. So pretty excited about it, and appreciate you guys putting me on and just for the support.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we will let you go and we'll close out. Thank you so much, Zane. You're a joy. And this was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Well done, sir. We'll catch you in a bit.
Thank you.
All right, Jeff.
Yes.
I don't know if we have a prize or not. I'm sure we could finagle something from Robert, right? Is there something in the works? So I'm not going to promise anybody anything, but let's just say the trivia question today will be on this date, September 18th, 1970. Jimi Hendrix died tragically at a London hotel. What was the name of that hotel?
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
I can tell you it wasn't a Marriott.
It wasn't a Marriott.
What you got? Who's in first?
Come on, who's gonna have that answer?
Typity.
What was the name of the hotel? Jimi Hendrix.
Do you guys want me to repeat the question in like a Spanish accent, or
was there voodoo involved?
Oh,
no.
I don't know, child. I don't know. All right. Well, yeah. Let's see. Anybody going to come up with
Anybody?
It's so slow. We're going to bring Zane back in. Zane, do you know what the answer is?
No.
All right, you're out. You're back in.
Cumberland. We have an answer.
Cumberland? No. That's a small town in Maine. Or a store, if you will. No, it wasn't the Cumberland. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm dead wrong. So Justin, forgive me if you're right and I'm wrong. But no, it's not the Cumberland as far as I can tell. Aha! Justin kept at it. The Samarkand. Everybody at one point or another has stayed at a Samarkand inn. Maybe not.
No.
But yeah. Good job, Justin. We're going to ask you to. We'll reach out to you and get an address, and we'll figure out what to send you.
Right.
Worst comes to worst, Justin, I'm going to send you this empty bottle of omega-3 fish oil.
Nice.
And you can have it. It's fine. You don't mind? No, I think we can come up with something better.
Yes, we'll come up with something better.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
no,
awesome.
we all Google these things.
I know.
Well, all right. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for coming in today. Hey, Jeff, what we're going to remind people of?
Well, the first thing we're going to remind them of is please don't forget to follow Where the Dogs of Society Howl on LinkedIn. And there you'll find also a way to subscribe to the newsletter. But also on top of that, you can come back there, see live shows that we record here on Thursdays. And you can also go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And then, of course, please visit our website at brandartica.agency to learn more about what we do.
Or what we don't do. Or
And
what
what
we're
we
willing
don't
to
do. Right.
but may decide not to do, or
That's right.
things that we don't do, but we are doing that we shouldn't.
Right.
There's so many opportunities and options. And yeah, that's it. Awesome. Thanks for joining us again today, guys. Have a great rest of the day, and we will catch you later. All right.
Thank
All right.
you.
See ya.
Bye.